I love that we all come together to support one another to help really drive and boost the industry that we are in. Hi, good morning everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before we go live with Beverley shortly, just a couple of house rules. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Beverley, then feel free to pop them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and I will present the questions to her at the end of the session. So today Beverley will be presenting a presentation on developing a growth mindset for wellness leaders and operators. So Beverley, hi, thank you for joining.
Hello, Emma, how are you?
I'm really well, how are you?
Good, I'm really good.
Fabulous, well thank you. Beverley is live from the UK, everyone, so we really appreciate you joining us so early. So yeah, I will pop my screen off and I will hand over to you and I will see you at the end of the session.
Hello everybody and welcome to Developing a Growth Mindset for spa and wellness industry leaders. So for businesses, obviously it's for a lot of businesses, all businesses for spa and leisure and are closed and we are not operating, and when businesses do open, things will be different, there will be change. And this webinar is all about how to manage change effectively, and that starts off with us and the way that we think, we feel and we behave. So today we'll be going through what a fixed mindset is, the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset. We'll also be going through an amazing process called neuroplasticity. We'll also be looking at the fight, flight, fight system, which is the stresses for fear and how that holds us back from everyday living. And solutions, I've got loads of solutions for you today about how you can develop a growth mindset. Growth mindset meaning planting the seeds, success seeds in the mind, so that from today, once I give you those solutions, you'll be able to start implementing them straight away, growing that mindset for success. And as Emma mentioned before, there's going to be an opportunity for any questions that you have. So grab a coffee and enjoy. And at the end of the session, you're going to be able to state the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset. You're going to know what neuroplasticity is and how new pathways are formed. This is all about new habits. Get insights about fear and how it keeps us safe, but holds us back sometimes in everyday life when there's not a real emergency. And you'll get strategies, as I mentioned, on how to develop a growth mindset. So at the moment, we've got COVID all over the news. And the world's changed. Everything's changed overnight. And we, people all over the world, are adapting and changing to what's going on right now. In terms of our industry, businesses have closed down. And when they do reopen, things are going to be totally different. That means we have to, as leaders, show up differently, because we still want our businesses to grow, to flourish, ourselves, our people. And so we are in a position now, right now, today, as I mentioned, where you are able to plant those success seeds right now, switch your focus from a can't do to a can do attitude, and really start priming your mind for success. So it is my intention today to give you as much information as I can about the insights and solutions to help you develop that mindset, so that you become a lot more stronger, more creative. And the important thing is being able to bounce back quickly from adversity. Sometimes we do things, they don't work out the way that we want to. And so we've got to be able to get back up again and start all over again, and taking in the feedback that we received and doing things in a different way so that we can gather that success. So today's course is all, I just want to mention the lady who founded the Growth and Fixed Mindset. Her name is Carol Dweck, and she was a psychologist, and she put all of this information together, years and years of research. Recommended reading before I start is How You Can Fulfill Your Potential, and that's a reading resource, and that's actually a book from Carol Dweck. I'll carry on with the presentation, thank you. So what is mindset? So mindset is all about the attitudes, the values, and the beliefs of an individual. So the attitude is all about your self-talk. Self-talk can be positive or it can be negative. Attitude is all about the mental processes or perceptions that we individuals have. And it's about our memory and our judgment and our reasoning. And that all comes from our self-talk. And that can be, as I mentioned, positive or negative. Mindset is also about your values. What's important to you? What is important to you? And that is all about mindset. It will drive your behavior, and your beliefs, individual beliefs, are all really about self-image, what you think about yourself to be true, and also what you think is true about the world and how it operates. So that is mindset, attitude, values, and your beliefs from an individual person. This is a model that I took off wellmind.com. I want you to have a look through these sentences. I'm going to read them out. I want you to be really honest with yourself. Are you like that now? Or are you not? Or do you know somebody else that has this type of mindset? So the first sentence is, number one is, people have a certain amount of intelligence and there's no way on this planet that you can ever change it. Sit and reflect in that for a moment. Is that you? Awareness is so powerful, because you're able to do something about it. Second one, no matter who you are, there isn't much you can do to improve your basic abilities and personality. Is that you? Have you been like that, but not now? Do you know somebody that said that to you? You cannot change. You are who you are. There's nothing you can do. Do you recall that being said, or have you said that to somebody else? People are capable of changing who they are. You can learn new things and improve your intelligence. People either have particular talents or they don't. You just can't acquire talents for things like music, writing, arts, or athletics. You're either good at it or you're not. You weren't blessed with it. Ever heard that before? Have you ever said that before? Has anybody else said that to you? Studying, working hard, and practicing new skills are all ways to develop new talents and abilities. As you can see from those sentences, people have a certain amount of intelligence and there's no way you can change it. That's a very fixed mindset approach. No matter who you are, there isn't much you can do to improve your basic abilities and personality. That again is coming from somebody that has a fixed mindset. Number three, people capable of changing who they are is somebody that has a growth mindset, has a really good belief system. Number four, you can learn new things and improve your intelligence. Of course you can. Anybody can. That's also coming from a person with a growth mindset. People either have particular talents or they don't. You just can't acquire talents like this. You know what? If you're good at music, it's because you were born like that. Or if you're good at writing, you were just born. You can't acquire these skills because that's not who you are. That's coming from somebody with a fixed mindset. Number six, studying, working hard, and participating, practicing new skills are all ways to develop new talents and abilities. That is a growth mindset. So your mindset dictates how you feel and the actions that you take. I'm going to say this several times throughout this presentation, so it really sticks. Thoughts and feelings predict how you behave. Positive thought, positive feeling, positive action. Negative thought, negative feeling, negative action. We have both a growth and a fixed mindset depending on what the situation is. And the great thing is, with awareness, you then step into a really powerful position. You go into a place where there is choice. You can choose how you want to be. And I'm sure that most people who are listening to that webinar want the growth mindset. And you can choose to respond in ways that serve you best, the people in your team, and your business. So a fixed mindset. Leaders, operators in our industry, those with a fixed mindset are probably having massive challenges right now because they think possibly quite negatively. And when they reopen their businesses, it's going to be a challenge for them if they have a fixed mindset. There are going to be so many new legislations to implement, new processes according to where you are, health and safety processes, loads of different operational procedures are going to come into place, and we may have to implement them, we may have to write new processes, and everything's going to have to change. So this person, if they predominantly have a fixed mindset, there are going to be some challenges. And these types of people avoid challenges, blames, make excuses. Everything's outside of them, and they finger point. They give up really easy. They see effort as fruitless. They don't step outside their comfort zone. If they don't step outside of their comfort zones to do anything, they never receive the golden nuggets called feedback, because that's the only way that we learn. That's the only way that we progress, is through taking action. And sometimes it means taking a step outside your comfort zone. But if you've got a fixed mindset, then it's going to be really challenging. People with a fixed mindset also are threatened by the success of others. They really do believe that you are born with these things, and if you don't, if you don't have these talents, you're not able to do them. Can you imagine having so much responsibility now, and the changes when you open your spa or resume as an account manager? If you've got this sort of mindset now, and there were challenges before, there's going to be greater challenges down the road unless you change. The other thing that I have noticed with in terms of my career in coaching is that there is a habit for people that have a fixed mindset to focus on the things that they cannot change. And so the more that they focus on what they can't change, the more of that they get. Yeah. So that's one thing that I've noticed. Now, people with a growth mindset, they absolutely adore learning new things. They're very optimistic, and they enjoy good challenges, new challenges. They're always looking for who, how, where. They're solution focused, always looking at what they can do, does what's necessary, and sees effort as the path to mastery. They will get up and do what it is that they need to do, put their hands in the trenches and go. They also know that it's going to take a little bit of effort, a little bit of, sometimes there's a little bit of stress, but they know how to manage their stress effectively, and they get back up again. They're very resilient people. They use their feedback to grow. Why? Because they step outside of their comfort zone. So when they do step outside of their comfort zone and things are not going the way that they want them to go, they gather that feedback and they use that feedback as fuel to help them progress. The other thing that they do is measure and calculate risks before they take action. Cause and effect. If I do this, what happens? And they have a go. They do have a go, and they learn from other people. Who else is doing what I want to do successfully? Who can I ask? So, neuroplasticity. So we mentioned before that the brain, people can change. And the way that change comes about is through a process in the brain called neuroplasticity. And it's the brain's ability to change and grow throughout a person's life. The brain isn't static. Many years ago, scientists believed that once you became an adult, through your childhood, your brain stops growing, and that's how it is for the rest of your life. They've actually realized that this is not true. And through neuroplasticity, your brain is able to change. It is not static. So over the last decade, scientists have discovered that this was not the case anymore. Okay, the brain can change and rewire itself because it's very adaptable. So how does neuroplasticity work? I want you to think of the brain as like a power grid, and it's got different pathways. And every time that you have an emotion and you think and you feel of something that you're used to doing, then this pathway for the brain is pretty easy to go down because that's the norm. That's what you've always been doing. So some of these pathways are what's called well-traveled, and they are often used, and these are what's called our habits. But every time we want to do something new, we have to create a new pathway. I hope that makes sense. So that's why things are quite difficult when we probably start running. It's difficult at first, or you want to stop smoking. It's difficult at first, but the more effort you put in, the more you try, what happens is the brain will rewire itself by creating a brand new pathway. And the pathway that was not used before, that is used less and less, and the other one strengthens. So for a new task or a new motion, the brain carves out a brand new pathway, and the more we use that pathway and keep on using it, it forms a new habit. And that's how habits are formed, and that's how we do things, and then it becomes second nature to us. So what does that actually mean? It means that you are able to change your thoughts. And when you change your thoughts, you change how you feel. And when you've changed how you feel, you're more optimistic, you're more driven, you come up with solutions, you come up with answers, but you've got to take your brain to the brain gym. Just as you would do to work your biceps, work your quadriceps, develop your triceps, you do the exercise. And it's exactly the same as how the brain functions. You have to take it to the brain gym, and you need to be able to, this is where positive affirmations and visualization comes into place. You are giving the brain instructions about what it is that you want and who you are. So this is why it's important. This is tip number one. If you think about neuroplasticity, this is the reason why it is wise, very wise, to set goals and write them down and read them every day. And so when you write down your goals, you're going to write them into the present moment as if you've already received it. And in terms of doing that, it's going to make you feel better, and it's going to start making you act in a different way. That neuroplasticity, that new pathway will be started to be created. And when you start to feel differently and think differently, you start acting differently. Might be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but when you keep doing it, that pathway is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you're going to get a lot more proficient. So I'll go through this again. Thoughts, feelings, behavior, and it's just like that, and it happens like that. So it's good to be able to know what your triggers are and listen to your self-talk. When you listen to your self-talk, that your thoughts, when you hear your self-talk and it's negative, that is the opportunity to change it. Okay, so thoughts and feelings and behavior. So thoughts create how you feel. All right, so you think negatively. My life is doomed. The spa won't open properly. All our clients are not going to come back. What about, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my job. How are you going to feel? What are those feelings? They're negative feelings, right? And from those feelings, what's going to happen? You're going to keep focusing on the thoughts that you have, and nothing, very little, shall I say, will get done because of your thoughts. It will be, so what happens is your thoughts reinforces your behavior, and you go round on a loop. But it's down to you. You are powerful. and you have inner resources right now that you can use to develop a growth mindset. If you are able to catch your thoughts and change them in the direction that you want to go in, it'll change your feelings and change your behavior. But before you do that, you got to know who you are and what it is that you want. You've got to be clear about your vision. What is it that you want to create? And then from that, you start thinking thoughts that align with that vision and start taking action. Are you always going to get it right? Absolutely not. But you keep going, perseverance, persistence, can do it, and you will do it. So how are these attitudes, values, and beliefs formed? And I've used the picture of a tree to be able to really explain it to you. So how are attitudes, values, and beliefs formed? Well, from our childhood. From the age of 0 to 7, our brain and conscious mind is like we are open to everything that's going on around us. We're like a sponge. We absorb absolutely everything. All right. So they're formed during childhood, and we take on the attitudes, values, and beliefs from our carers, from our parents, from our uncles and aunties, from our little kids in school, anybody that looked after us and said something, negative or positive, we believe that and internalize that emotion as a child. Some beliefs, values, and attitudes are very positive. They've worked out for me in my life, and I'm sure that you can remember lots of things that you've done that have been really positive. But there are some that are still ingrained from childhood that are running on a habitual pattern. Remember neuroplasticity, fixed mindset. There are some patterns that are still running, those pathways that we're still thinking, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, and they're getting strong. They're ingrained. They're part of you. Okay, so I would go from the soil is going to be, the soil from the tree is all going to be about how we see the world, what we believe is true about the world, how it operates, and about us. And as I mentioned, not all of our beliefs serve us very well. And this is why sitting down and having a little think about those beliefs that hold you back. Okay, so how you see the world, the roots are about yourself. So what you can't see is about what you see about yourself. So if somebody told you that you weren't good enough or you're not capable enough, etc., you would have, as a child, had internalized that. And if you haven't examined those beliefs, you bring those into your adult life. The trunk of the tree represents the values and what's important to us. So that's what drives our behavior. What drives our behavior? How we think and feel about the world and how it operates. The roots are all about how we see ourselves, that drive our values. The branches that come off at the side represent the decisions that we make as a result of how we see the world, how it operates, how we see ourselves, what our values are, produce decisions. And then the decisions that we make are our beliefs. And then the fruit, I couldn't find a fruit tree, sorry. I was really trying to find some fruit, good ones, bad ones, rotten apples. And as a result of all of those things, how we see the world, how we see ourselves, our values, the decisions that we make based on those is what we produce in our lives. And when I say fruit, I'm talking about things that don't actually come out very well for us and things that actually do as a result of our beliefs. So I'll give you an example. I wrote one down. This is one. Yeah, so this is a popular one that comes up a lot. If you lived in a household where the parents or the carers, their belief was money is hard to come by. You have to work hard for your money. And you are in agreement as that, and you are still in agreement with that, in your adult life, you may work really hard, possibly suffer from burnout, doing everything and really work hard for your money. However, If you under 7 were lived in a household whereby the belief of your carers or your parents was money is easy to make and there is an abundance of money in this world, and you believe that is true, then you will grow up as an adult into this life possibly being very creative about how to accumulate wealth. And that's how it is. If you believe that there's lack, there are no. If right now you believe that there are nobody's interested in buying services, there's no money around to be made, then you will act out of that belief system. So my tip for you today is to examine your beliefs and really sit down and say, is that true, that thought that I'm having? And how is it manifesting in my life and in my business? And if you find that they're not very good, then you know what? This is where it's amazing. You can make up beliefs that support you, that support the direction that you want to go in, because you're going to start using your brain to develop new pathways where you are more creative, where, you know what, making money is all about creating value. So if you want to increase your income or look for new ways to bring in new clients into, then you need to start telling yourself that it's easy to do and that I am really creative and I can find innovative ways to create really great value to my clients. Then guess what's going to happen? You are going to start thinking in creative ways to make that happen. So going back to changing the rewiring of the brain, by implementing new thought patterns consistently, visualizing, taking action, and you're creating new habits, you will change the way you see things, and the things you will see will change. So I'm going to ask you a question right now. What are your beliefs about this pandemic, about going back to work? Just have a little think. Are they negative beliefs? Bring them into awareness. When I say bring them into awareness, write them down on a piece of paper so you can see it and have a look and say, is that absolutely true? Because I've heard people say, there are no clients, there are no opportunities, there's no money. But I've also heard people say, oh my gosh, there are opportunities, they're everywhere. I'm creating new values I'm diversifying my business. And I also have heard people who come from that growth mindset are actually thriving during this period. And for the UK, it's not anybody from the loo roll factories. I'm talking about people like myself and you who are, yes, this pandemic is going on, but they are not focused on that. They are focused on, they're not looking this way and then bringing on more of what they see this way, which is the negatives. This is happening. They have shifted their focus totally and saying, opportunities, how do I do it? I am creative. I create new values for my clients. I can do this. How do I do this? You know what? That didn't work. This did. And they are doing really well. This model, a lot of you have probably seen, and I love this model, Stephen Covey's model, circle of influence, circle of concern. So circle of concern, the way that the model actually works is this: what you focus on expands and grows. It gets bigger and bigger because that's where you're focusing. If your concerns are over in this direction and you just keep looking at that because that is your habitual pattern and you keep looking in that direction, lack, no clients, what else have I got here? No one spending, no opportunities. If you don't break that pattern and intervene that thought, that's all you're going to see. That is your circle of concern. What is, when are we going to open? When are they going to find a cure for this? That is all outside. That is your circle of concern. These are things that you can't do anything about. If you keep looking in that direction all the time, that's all you're going to see. But if you're able to catch that thought and look at your circle of influence, that is what's going to grow and expand and get bigger and bigger. And you'll find that the things that you didn't have influence over, you actually do. Circle of influence is all about the things that you can do, that you are in control of. I have influence over my thoughts, over my feelings. I'm choosing them. I'm choosing how I want to behave. Circle of influence. What new skills do I need to learn? Circle of influence. What support do I need? Who else has done this? Circle of influence is, you know what? I need to step outside of my comfort zone so that I can get feedback. Circle of influence is all about you, and you are your biggest influencer. It's about what you do that's going to make the difference. You have power over your mind, not external events. We don't have power over them. It's very real. COVID is happening. People are losing their lives, their families. It's awful. But we need to shift our focus. And if you realize that you have power over your mind, not the external events, realize this, and you are going to be a much stronger person. Shift your focus. Catch your thoughts. Change them, transform them into ways that will serve you. What are your goals? Write them down. Read them every day. Get that new pathway created. Reticular activating system. Oh, I love this. So via our senses, and this is all coming together in terms of developing a growth mindset. So we've gone through the belief system, and you are able to catch your thoughts, transform them, different behavior. The reticular activating system, via our senses, our 5 senses, our brain, external world, brings in 400 billion bits of information, if not more, per second. That's a lot of information and far too much data for our conscious mind to be able to process at any one time. So to filter that data that's actually coming in so rapidly that our conscious mind can't cope with, we have what's called a reticular activating system. And you can find that on the base of your brain. The reticular activating system acts like the gatekeeper to the mind and filters out what's not important, and filters out of your awareness, what you're not focused on, what's not important, and what you don't believe in. That's deep. And only bring into your awareness what you think about most, what you focus on, and what you believe in. Have a think about that for a second. So if you're thinking, the brain, clever little machine, is always going to prove you right. No customers? Where's the evidence? There's no customers. I'm not good enough. Without even saying it, it will find evidence to support whatever you believe in and what's important. That's why, again, it's really important to get a catalogue of what's important, what your goal is, what is your mission, what is your vision, and then to identify what your values are. What belief systems do you need to implement to be able to walk closer towards those goals? When you visualize those, when you change your self-talk and what to do, you are creating a new pathway that gets strong. These are things that you could do today. So if you think that there's nothing you can do for your clients right now because your spa business is closed, then your reticular activating system is going to go out there through your senses from the external world. It's going to bring into your environment everything to prove you absolutely correct. I wrote this down. I'm going to read it to you because it really did make me wake up. I wrote this down. The clients, the ideas and resources and circumstances for our success is right in front of us right now. However, we or you won't recognize it or recognize those opportunities if your focus is on lack and the things that you don't want. We are creating our own experience in terms of fulfilling our dreams, doing what it is, becoming a stronger leader. We are the ones creating it. So having a goal, visualization, affirmations, and the other thing, be intentional. Being intentional, doing things on purpose that make that dream and that vision come true. Fight, flight, freeze, fear. Okay, so this is an interesting one. When we back in the day, we used to live in caves, and what used to happen is we'd go out hunting, and we'd come across a long-toothed tiger, and what would happen is that our stressors would be activated, and we would either fight the long-toothed tiger, we'd run away, or we'd freeze, we'd be paralyzed because we are in fear. So fight, flight, freeze, anything that causes us the stress activators, it's a threat detection system of the brain that primes the body for fight, flight, or freeze reaction. It's essential for protecting ourselves from predators or any danger. Now, the brain is there to protect us. It is scary what's going on out there right now. We have to protect and look after ourselves. That's in our circle of influence. However, the same triggers and responses, stress responses, are activated for small things, like stepping outside of your comfort zone, when actually there's no risk. There's no risk at all. You're actually safe, but your brain will send off the same alarm as if there's a real emergency. And that's what stops people from moving outside of their comfort zone. There are two hormones that are activated during fight, flight, freeze, and they are cortisol, which makes us irritable. This is where we get all the physical responses like sweaty palms, heart racing quickly, all of those sort of things is all about the stress hormone cortisol. And that makes us irritable and erratic. We can't think properly. And then there's adrenaline, which is a hormone that we use to rush around at the last minute. Okay, and these hormones are responsible for the fight, flight, freeze. Okay, helps us to fight, to flight, to freeze, to keep us safe. All right, but what about when we just want to make a decision or learn something new? Those same stressors are running, and we go into the same fight, flight, freeze stressors even when there's no danger, but the brain doesn't pick it up like that. So it's all about honing fear. I want to add that we do need a certain amount of stress, levels of stress or challenge. Otherwise, we could become bored, demotivated, a little bit lethargic. But performance levels increase when you manage your stress. Breathe, get into the present moment, stop what you're doing and breathe. Transforming, this is another way that you can get ahead, is by transforming your emotional responses is going to be key to managing your stress levels at this time. When you experience stress, the messages become erratic, which leads your brain to become less active, restricting your ability to think clearly while dealing with the stress responses. Breathing is so powerful. Stop what you're doing. If there's no emergency, stop what you're doing. I'm going to be honest with you. I used to be scared of everything, absolutely everything. And this fight, flight, freeze really changed my life. Once I realized what this was about, my whole life changed. I started asking myself better questions and stop and getting into the present moment and saying, am I in danger? No. What are the risks? Oh, I'm a bit scared of what people are going to say. Oh, I'm a bit scared about what people are going to think about me. And I'm just like, okay. But the same stressors came on. When I realized that I wasn't really in any danger, you take more action. But you've got to find that space, the gap, where you are able to make choices about whether you're going to be a product of your comfort zone or whether you are choosing to grow. And so I realized, I heard this little story, which I'm going to share with you now. So the brain, when you're going to step outside your comfort zone and do something new, will send off the smoke detector because it thinks it's a real emergency when actually there's not one. And it's either toast, you burnt your toast, or steam coming out the shower, or just a little bit of steam from somewhere. And 9 times out of 10 is actually been toast burning. So I've just gone ahead and did it anyway. And so when you step outside of your comfort zone all the time, and you do it, and you keep stepping outside of your comfort zone, doing the things that you're scared of, you're also priming the mind, to prime the brain to become more resilient. Some things didn't go right for me, but you just have to keep getting up, keep trying, doing something different, speaking to somebody else, getting that feedback, but don't let fear hold you back. I would say hone fear. It's going to happen, but you are absolutely normal. All right. Big subject, but definitely changed my life. So my last slide is I'm going to go through and share with you ways to develop a growth mindset. As I said, be aware. Where are you right now? Have that awareness, reflect, make a plan. If you do not make a plan about what it is that you want to do, you've not got that vision, your brain will develop a life for you that you didn't want. It will just go on habitual patterns of what you did before, because you haven't given it any instructions. It's a very obedient piece of equipment, but you just have to learn how to use it. Okay, so the best thing to do is know what you want, yay, and write that down on a piece of paper. Okay, keep it with you, keep looking at it, prime your RAS system to go after what it wants, train your brain, gym work, become the observer of your thoughts, listen to your self-talk. Negative thought, catch it, turn it into something positive that aligns with your plan, and take action. Visualize success, put your images into your mind before you go to bed at night, and dream and put images in about who you are, what you're doing, who's around, and how things are happening. Get the brain looking for that information. Work smart. Have clarity about what stops you. So there are certain things that are going to be, we're going to come across barriers. You're not going to run back to your female cave or your man cave. You're going to get out of that and assess your risk, know whether it's toast, smoke, or a real emergency. If it's a real emergency, then run like crazy. However, if it's not, and it's just smoke, okay, if it's just steam coming out the shower or a bit of toast, then have a go. A good question to ask yourself is, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And just do it. They always say, I want to be that person. Have clarity about what stops you. Be the person you want to become. Why did I put that? Because people always say, oh, I'll be happy when I'm going to be like this. And I'm going, step into that person now. How does that person think? How do they feel? What sort of action? The person that you want to become, have clarity around that. How do they act? How do they behave? How do they think? Start becoming that person. You can be that person right now. Step into that person. Step outside of your comfort zone. We've gone through fight, flight, fear. Overcoming your obstacles. That only takes place when you step outside your comfort zone. The powerful thing about stepping outside of your comfort zone is that you will get the feedback. If you listen to it, if you see it, when you feel it, use all your senses to gather this feedback, then you can change your plan if it didn't go too well. Yeah, there's going to be moments of disappointments, but you're not going to live there, are you? You're not going to stay there. You're going to get up and keep moving. And that's what builds resilience. And we are going to need to be resilient during these days. Ask open questions. Powerful thing. When you ask your brain the right questions, like how, where, ask open questions to yourself, to other people, will give you phenomenal results. Reward yourself and recognize yourself. When you've done a good job or you've overcome a hurdle, to keep yourself motivated, reward and recognize yourself. And also make sure that you realize that every time that things don't go right, that is success in disguise. That is your opportunity for feedback. Every time you fall down, it's an opportunity for success. You get back up again, you keep moving, bring in that information, act differently, feel differently. What do you need to do more of? What do you need to do less of? What do you need to start doing? What do you need to stop doing? Try again, do it again, and keep going. And that is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to pass you back to Emma.
Thank you, Beverley. It's really interesting. Wow. I feel like I've learned a whole new thing on mindset. It's blown my mind, literally.
I thought you enjoyed it.
Yeah, really.
Everybody else did as well.
Yeah, well, we've got a couple of questions. For the now, do you have, as a business, as a leader, as a spa leader, do you have any tips on how to manage and help my team through what's going on in terms of helping their mindset?
Okay, so I would actually say to that person, start off with yourself by modeling the behavior that you want other people to copy. It's going to be the fastest way. So when you start working on yourself and you start implementing those things about developing a new mindset, so catching your own thoughts. The other thing is to listen to your colleagues. Listen to them, be empathic, be sympathetic to their needs. And the other thing that you can do is, if you are on this personal development journey, is to tell them your own stories, your own success stories, so that they are motivated to think about things that they are possibly able to do. I hope that answers the question. So start off with yourself first. Be the change, I guess what Gandhi says, be the change that you want to see in the world. So it starts off with you. Once you start changing your behavior, your thought patterns, you're going to show up in front of your team in a totally different way. It's called inspirational leadership, where they are going to want to follow or be encouraged to follow.
Okay, they just said, do you have an example of a story or a case study on inspirational leadership that you could share?
I don't have a case study, no, but I can definitely try and do. Is it somebody that's asking one for one?
Yeah. Any kind of examples, I suppose, of transformation, perhaps?
Of transform, being inspirational.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. I could probably give you my experience. Here's one. I found it. Sorry, I found one. Sometimes we don't always get along with people, and somehow they kind of get up a nose and all the rest of it. Or some things aggravate us, and people do things differently, the way that we wouldn't do them, etc., etc. I actually had an issue one day with somebody, within the workplace. And what I did was I changed my own energy inside. How did I do that? Remember on the slide, I kept saying about shifting your focus. I challenged myself to find 3 or 4 things every day, new things that I liked about this person, or that how I could bridge that gap within our relationship as a leader. That's what we need to be doing, bridging relationships with other people. And what I did every day was that I turned up and found 4 things. And what you focus on expands. I found millions of things about this person that I really liked, that I really admired. So guess what? I started feeling differently. And once I started feeling differently, I started showing up to her differently. And then that person started feeling better about themselves and about the relationship, and productivity went up. This for that person. This is why I was saying to you, be the change that you want to see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great story. Love that. Great tip. I suppose for, with everything, as you mentioned, with everything going on now, with the headlines and the press, how, if you're not naturally a true leader and you're battling with kind of like, if you are leading a team, but you're not naturally, you don't feel like deep down you're naturally a leader, you're battling with trying to overcome that mindset, as well as the daily kind of struggles of getting up in the morning and trying to motivate yourself in an area of isolation. What tips do you have for that leader to really overcome those challenges?
Brilliant question, and thank you so much for answering that, because this is really common and comes up in my coaching sessions a lot. You know, I feel like a bit of an imposter. I don't feel good enough in my role. The tip that I have for you today, for anybody that's out there that's listening, is get clarity around it. And how do you get clarity around these issues? Is by asking the right questions. So it's all about, it's not really about their leadership, it's about how that person feels about themselves, their own level of confidence and self-esteem. So the question would be, what negative thoughts do I have about myself? Bring it into awareness. What negative thoughts do I have about being a leader? We'll bring that into conscious awareness. But unless you ask, you will never know, and you'll never get clarity around those situations. Once you do get those into awareness, you can then change those into positive affirmations and start visualizing. Now, this is tough, and I'm going to be honest. When I started out doing this, I never believed it at all. Not for 1 second. I was just like, Bev, come on, have a go. You know what? I didn't say, what do I have to lose? I said, what do I have to gain? And so I kept doing it repeatedly. Actually, I started feeling different. Did it happen overnight? No. Did I do it consistently? No. But I did it more times than what I didn't. But then I started feeling different. And then you start acting differently. But you've got to get into your own psyche and ask the question, what negative emotion do I have about myself? What negative thoughts do I have about the role that I'm in? Bring it into awareness and swap them over. So for example, I'm a weak leader. Let's just say that came up. I'm weak. You know, you can change that affirmation into, I have everything I need. I have all the resources that I need. I'm strong. I'm resilient. Speak in the present moment as if you've already got it. You're going to have those doubts, the chimp that's on the shoulder, the self-talk, the gremlin, I call it, is going to show up and go, no, you're not. You're weak. No, you're not. It'll give you all, but you've just got to keep going and affirming that. Keep visualizing the person that you want to be, what that person looks like. You'll start acting differently.
Amazing.
It takes time.
Yes. We all battle with our own demons.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Absolutely.
And especially more so now, more than ever, being in isolation and being in lockdown, it's fun times. Right, just checking. Okay, so do you have any tips on I guess it's kind of similar to the first question, but do you have any tips on battling with a colleague who doesn't believe in themselves and trying to help change their mindset in terms of belief?
I'm going to write this down because there's quite a bit, and I really want to answer this question because I think it's really important. So they're battling with their own beliefs.
They're battling with their own self-esteem and their beliefs. And what tips do you have? You know, I as a leader have faith in them. You know, they have a lot of, what's the word? I'm just trying to.
They have faith in that staff member, but the staff member doesn't have any faith in themselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So let's reframe this from whoever wrote the question. This is my answer. It's only a battle if you say it is. Boom. Is it a battle? Let's go back to beliefs. Is it a battle? Because a battle, when you think about it, that in itself is negative energy. I'm battling. So instead of saying battling, maybe it's a case of you know what, get curious, first of all. I think curiosity is really amazing. Come from the perspective of a child. They're really curious. They don't understand. So it's kind of, when the words that we use have energy, and we don't see it, but we wear that all the time. People pick up on our vibes. I think it's called vibes. So in terms of battling, maybe think about it as there's a situation. Because if that person's showing up as a battle, the resistance is on them, not the other person. Makes sense? So that also is about thinking, feeling, and changing thought patterns. But the way you're coming through from the other, how can you help somebody else raise their self-esteem? They have to want to do it. So does that person want to change? You can't change them. The choice has to come from them. And if they are open and receptive to change, then there are loads of things here which I've mentioned on this presentation that people can actually implement today. So people with low self-esteem, low confidence, again, identify it. What is confidence and self-esteem? What are my thoughts about myself that I believe are true? And really examine them. Is it? Because most times it's not. It's from what somebody else has said about them, and they've internalized that belief without actually looking at the evidence to say, is it true? Because 9 times out of 10, it's somebody else said, or one situation that happened in 1925, and we're still carrying that belief. So I would say to that leader to not battle with it, go with the curiosity of the eyes of a child, and ask that how you can help them. The leader can ask that question. Where did that thought come from? When was that first thought? Where did that come from? And help them to come to that realization. What happens if you keep on believing that's true? So a leader can facilitate growth by asking the right questions to their therapist, receptionist, attendants. I hope that answers the question.
Great, yeah, fab, fantastic advice. Thank you so much. I think that's all that we've got time for, which has gone really quickly. So yes, anyone who's got any further questions they want to ask Beverley, then feel free to pop me an email and I can put you all in touch. Beverley, what's the best way to contact you directly?
They can contact me directly via LinkedIn. That's where I live, is on LinkedIn. It's under Beverley Spencer. There are lots of tips that I give away every day for tips for success or raising awareness. So there's things on there absolutely every day. So they can get me there, just inbox me and I will come straight back to them.
Fabulous, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Beverley. It's great to see you. And thank you everyone for joining. And I wish you all a great rest of your week and stay safe. Bye.